Then there are security experts that have spoken on this, one of which is Bulama Bukati. He's a lawyer and a security expert that discusses on this issue. So Bulama Bukati gave an interview with Al Jazeera, and he explained what went down. But first, I will read a statement from him, where he, in his X handle, social media handle, he gave a statement before he posted the interview that he did with Al Jazeera. Okay, so Bulama Bukati, PhD, at Bulama Bukati on X, says, "I'm pleased to see that President Trump appears to have listened to our concerns back in November and worked with the Nigerian government rather than acting unilaterally. The US airstrikes reportedly took place in Sokoto State, suggesting they targeted the Lakurawa group, which has become increasingly lethal. Strikes against this group are a welcome development, as they can help degrade its leadership and logistical capacity. This is especially positive given that the operation was carried out with the consent and cooperation of the Nigerian government." So Bulama Bukati, who has been reporting on issues of banditry, terrorism, insurgency in the northern region, is saying that the attack appears to, since it's struck at Sokoto State, appears to target the Lakurawa group, that this group are becoming increasingly dangerous, and that the hope is that this attack will help to degrade its leadership and logistical capacity. So let's see if I can get the interview that he granted.
Let's speak some more about this now to Bulama Bukati, who's a peace and conflict analyst and human rights lawyer, joining us from London. Thank you for your time. Let's start with this latest operation, the unprecedented airstrikes by the U.S. on Nigerian territory. We have the Nigerian government, Bulama, describing this as a joint operation, but the statement the foreign minister released is somewhat vague. What does coordination typically mean in such an operation? Is it shared intelligence, joint targeting, or just merely consent by the Nigerians?
I mean, you are right. The Nigerian government said it was with its consent and cooperation that these strikes took place, but the statement doesn't go into details, and statements don't go into details in these kinds of environment. What I hope had happened was the U.S. government working closely with the Nigerian government in terms of the intelligence, in terms of deciding the precise location of targeting, and also in launching the strikes. We have always maintained that there has been, or there is still, a problem in Nigeria, and U.S. and other international partners can assist, but it has to be with the full consent and the knowledge and the involvement of the Nigerian government. And I'm happy to see that Donald Trump listened.
Do you think in this case there was full consent, or were the Nigerians perhaps only partially informed about the timing or scale of these U.S. strikes?
To be honest, I don't know what might have happened, but if you remember, in November, Donald Trump was hinting unilateral military action in Nigeria. And at the time, we warned that that was going to be counterproductive and is going to complicate issues on the ground. I am happy to see that he has listened. If you see, the timing of the Nigerian government statement was immediately after the strike, which indicates that the Nigerian government was aware. And I think the most important is Nigeria's sovereignty is respected,
Right.
and that intelligence is obtained on the ground, and anything that is done with the consent and the cooperation of the Nigerian government. And that, I think that might be what has happened in this
Bulama,
case.
So that was the interview by Bulama Bukati. There is a statement from the defense headquarters. This is reported by Punch newspaper. So the Punch reports that airstrikes show Nigeria allies resolve to counter terrorism. DHQ, that's defense headquarters. The armed forces of Nigeria has said the recent airstrikes in the northwest demonstrate the federal government's unwavering resolve to confront terrorism, carried out in collaboration with the United States. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Uba, disclosed this in a statement issued on Friday in Abuja, saying the operation followed credible intelligence and was aimed at degrading the operational capabilities of the terrorists while minimizing collateral damage. According to him, the strikes were conducted with the approval of appropriate authorities as part of sustained efforts to rid the country of terrorists and other criminal elements threatening national security. The armed forces of Nigeria, in conjunction with the United States of America, have successfully conducted precision strike operations against identified foreign ISIS-linked elements operating in parts of northwest Nigeria, Uba said. He added the strikes followed credible intelligence and careful operational planning aimed at degrading the operational capabilities of the terrorists while minimizing collateral damage. Uba said the operation underscores the resolve of the federal government working with strategic international partners to confront transnational terrorism and prevent foreign fighters from establishing or expanding footholds within Nigeria. This action clearly demonstrates the unwavering resolve of the federal government of Nigeria in collaboration with strategic international partners to confront transnational terrorism and prevent foreign fighters from regaining any foothold within our borders, he said. The defense spokesman reaffirmed the commitment of the armed forces to the protection of lives and property across the country. So, it says the armed forces of Nigeria remains fully committed to protecting the lives and property of Nigerians and will continue to support joint interagency and international efforts aimed at restoring lasting peace and security across the country, Uba said. Earlier on Friday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that Nigeria remains engaged in structured security and intelligence cooperation with international partners, including the United States, in addressing terrorism and violent extremism. So here, the defense headquarters, via a spokesperson, is saying that the Nigerian military worked in conjunction with the US military to carry out these attacks. So these are the various reports. So on what has taken place now, I've seen various analyses. I watched Arise News, the morning show with Dr. Ruben Abati, Rufai Hussaini, Ayo, Mayo Esse, and they interviewed various guests and all that. So one of the things one should note is that at this point, I made a video before where I talked about Donald Trump. I said Donald Trump is an atypical president. It's not like a typical US president. I found interest in the US presidency from the days of Barack Obama. So 2008, when Barack Obama won, I came in 2008, 2012, and then 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump and Donald Trump started his first term. Then Donald Trump lost re-election in 2020 and Joe Biden came on board. And then in 2024, we saw that Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is an atypical president. If it were other presidents before him, they would not have contemplated doing something like this. because they will think about the repercussions, at home, the broader implications, costs, and so many things, and now decide not to carry out this. Remember that when the Chibok girls were kidnapped, around 2014, when President Goodluck Jonathan was president, you know, there was a time where it was possible for the US to help, and even US sent surveillance planes to survey the area and all that. There was a window of opportunity where foreign the US could have helped in the rescue of the Chibok girls, but somehow it didn't happen. I don't know the specific of what happened, but that took place then. So with Obama was the president then when the Chibok girls were rescued and all that. So with Obama and others, a lot goes into decision making. They will sit down, they discuss, go through details, pros and cons and all that. Then Donald Trump is not like that. Donald Trump is somebody that he's not really a details person. He's not interested in knowing so much technical details and all that. But if he watches the news, he gets reports from his team and all that. So he goes with things that are popular. His core base is you have the evangelical base, which are Christians, the Christian group in the US, largely the evangelicals, they support Donald Trump. So if there is something that he can do to shore up the base, because Trump has had problems with his polling, in terms of the popularity. He's not doing so well because of certain decisions he has taken, like the tariffs, has not really helped, has increased cost of living, cost of food items, cost of groceries and all that. Because one of the things that Trump campaigned on was to reduce the prices of things, which Americans felt that the Democrats were not being able to do. So Trump came in with that promise, but his policies of increasing tariffs on other nations and all that has worsened inflation and stuff like that. So Trump has been going down in the polling and stuff. So if there is something he can do that will increase the support he gets from his core base, his core Christian evangelical base in the US, he will do it. You understand? And so this is something that was like something that came in, and at that time Trump was faced with other challenges. He's still faced with Epstein files, and other internal and local problems in the US. And Trump is somebody that if he sees something where he can take attention away from what is happening in the US, he would do that. So in this context, it's important to see that Trump would seize on something like this, and being that is not encumbered by the usual things that previous presidents, used to stop other presidents from doing what they want to do. His party, Republican Party, has majority in the Senate and House of Rep. Before, in his first term, the threat was that of impeachment because the Democrats were in charge of the House of Representatives. So they could impeach him if he does certain things. But with the current leadership, the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate, there's no way they are going to bring a motion to impeach Trump. So he feels more liberated. And following the US Supreme Court decision that the president is protected, actions that he takes while in office is protected, and so such actions cannot be used more or less to impeach him or stuff like that. So considering that, you know that Trump can do this, can order this, because he's not going to bother himself about, what will my political party say, what will opponents say, we will just go ahead and do it. So some people have you paid a lot of interest in the words that Trump used. When he talked about the attack that he has instructed, and when he said that today, at my direction as commander-in-chief, United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria. So in this instance, you see, then he went ahead, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. Now, if when the US delegation came from the House of Rep, Riley Moore and others, when they came, they went to North Central region, Benue State, Plateau State, to discuss with Christian leaders who have been making the appeal that their flocks members are being killed and that the US government should intervene. That is North Central region. Where this strike has taken place now is Northwest, and this Northwest region, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, this aspect, this part of the Northwest region is not, you've not had this cause about a Christian genocide is taking place in North Central, more or less in the North Central, less in Northwest, less in the Northeastern region. And so this strike is not really to address the issue of the genocide. It's not. But considering the fact that Trump has his audience, his target audience is the US Christian evangelicals, and so he goes ahead and says that this strike against ISIS terrorists come in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. I have previously warned these terrorists that if they not stop the slaughtering of Christians, they'll be held to pay, and tonight there was. This statement is made for his US audience. It's called base. This statement is not for them because it's called base. They will listen to his statement. They will watch his TV appearances. They will watch Fox News. They are right-wing nationalists, So these people are not going to look at counter narratives to this. They are going to go by what Trump has said. So this statement is made for that audience. You understand? And that is why you see in this statement that Trump made, there's no mention he collaborated with Nigerian authorities here. He just said, as commander-in-chief, I gave the order, to make it seem as if it was a unilateral decision. But I've seen the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, he made a statement where he said the president was clear last month, the killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and elsewhere must end. The Department of War is always ready, so ISIS found out tonight on Christmas, more to come. Grateful for Nigerian government support and cooperation. Merry Christmas. You see, the Secretary of War, which is the Minister of War, the equivalent of Minister of War, is saying they grateful for Nigerian government support and cooperation. The African command, the military, US military African command, AFRICOM, said they did it in coordination with Nigerian authorities. So is the people that working with Trump, they are acknowledging that Nigerian authorities were consulted, they were in touch with them when this decision was made and when this strike carried out. But Trump did not mention that because Trump knows his audience, and his audience is not his audience is not Nigerians or others. His audience is his core base, and that explains the rhetoric he used. So if you want to if you put too much emphasis, if like you as a Nigerian who is looking at what Trump said, if you go just by what Trump says, you're going to miss it completely, because the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War said Nigeria cooperated. The military command that carried out the attack, which is US African Command, said Nigeria cooperated. But Trump never said anything like that. So because Trump wants to push an agenda. So the point is, and the thing is, look at the symbolism of it. The attack was carried out on Christmas Day. And Christmas Day is the day where majority of Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. So there's a symbolism in choosing Christmas Day to carry out this attack. And symbolism have been used before. When people carry out attacks, they look at symbolic gestures. They pick dates, either on the government side or non-government actors and all that. They pick dates to carry out certain strikes. So look at the symbolism there. On Christmas Day, this attack happened, and you see them after the statement. You see them say Merry Christmas. Trump said Merry Christmas. SZ said Merry Christmas. So the significance of the timing and the dates, you understand, to shows the target audience they have. And the target audience is not just Nigerians, whether Christians or Muslims. The target audience is the US evangelical Christian base. So one should not focus solely on what Trump is saying. The statement is meant to push a certain narrative for a particular audience, and that audience will get that message. You understand? Rather, you look at what happened, what took place. And going by what Bulama Bukata said, a lawyer and a peace conflict expert and security expert, what he's saying is that these attacks, that there is a terror group called the Lakurawa. Now, this terror group are not known to have any affiliations with ISIS, the Islamic State, or with Al-Qaeda. You understand? But these are fighters that have, for several years, they've left other countries and moved into parts of the Northwest, Sokoto and Kebbi State. And in the past a year or so, that they've been carrying out terror attacks. You understand? So this group will likely the target of this attack. But this group, they are not really, they don't pick and choose who they attack. And the regions where they operate are you see more of Muslims there. You don't have as much Christians as you have in the North Central region, where you have more of the calls and the cries for genocide and stuff like that. So practically speaking, this attack doesn't address the call that is coming from Benue and Plateau State. You understand? It doesn't address that, but it addresses the issue of insecurity. You understand? Because it's possible that they would have reached out to Nigeria, and Nigeria would have, usually when the US wants to carry out an